Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy, Wednesday now, July 30th? It sure as hell is. Hope everybody is doing well, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. We always want to hear from you. I know we had a little bit of issues yesterday when it came to our YouTube. I'll make sure I show some love to the Warriors there. Coach Chenzo Scagno, my guy. Make sure we got that. We have our Jesuit, our Steinbrenner, and our TC, of course, to go with our Big Scar Soccer Clubs, United Sun and Rowdy. Speaking of the Rowdies, you'll hear some from head coach Coach Casciato, as well as midfielder Ollie Bassett. They'll be joining us later. I was over at training a little bit earlier today, so we'll play that around 1:30. Bucks training camp last night. Holy smokes. It was steamy inside that indoor facility, Avon Training Center. We'll get into that. We'll get into the Rays, hearing some things about the Rays and who could be on the move with the MLB trade deadline just 1 day away. Will they move some guys? I think they certainly will. And Taj Bradley could be going to the St. Louis Cardinals. Could Pete Fairbanks be going to the Toronto Blue Jays? Those are two of the things that I've heard so far. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on in the 12 o'clock hour. Right at 12:40, I'll give you what I'm hearing when it comes to our Tampa Bay Rays. And, of course, we can't do this without you guys, and especially my guy Russ over at Honest Hammer. Yo, Jay, my guy. Check him out. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. You see right there. You see it. That QR code. Hit that up, thehonesthammer.com. Go check them out, man. I'll show you right before 1 o'clock what they do. They do such a fantastic job, and he's a Tampa Bay sports fan. So you want to be able to help and support our businesses here in the Tampa Bay area. So, yeah, shout out to Russ and my friends over at Honest Hammer. Speaking of local businesses, my buddy Nelly. What's good, bro? Good to see you. Love you. Miss you. Nelly's daughter, Jada, one of the fantastic chefs over there at Noble Rice, over there in Channelside by Amalie Arena, across the street from Boulan. Go check her out. I mean, you got to call, you get a reservation. You can't just pop in there thinking you're going to be able to get a table over there at Noble Rice, but you have to. It's an experience. It's more than just eating. It's an experience, and everybody's so nice and so gracious in there. So head on over there to Noble Rice and tell them that you heard it right here on the Recher podcast. We got our guy Dolan and DT and Greg the Cruz. So I was hanging out with Ira Kaufman last night at training camp. So we'll definitely get him on the program soon. We always have a fun time. Shout out to Dolan, and look at Karen. Hello, Karen. How are you? Karen, big-time Tampa Bay sports fan. She loves her Lightning. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. What I need you all to do, make sure when you hop on, you're liking and you're subscribing to the YouTube stuff. And also when you join here, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Twitter, I need you to hit that like button. So when it comes up on me and it helps the reach. So make sure you smash that like button. And when you're on YouTube as well, that notifications bell. So you know when we go live. It'll be every weekday at noon right here on the Recher podcast. We're live all day. We're going to be live this week. Monday, I'll be at my parents' house in New York, but the show is going to be live. It's going to be a little different because I won't have my microphone. I'm not lugging my microphone because I'm only taking a carry-on, but it'll be fun. I'll be in my parents' basement, and we'll see. The acoustics might be a little different, but it'll be a lot of fun. Our guy Ian Beckles will join us at 12:30. The Beckles and Recher podcast at 3 o'clock today over at the Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. That should be fun. We're going to talk about Desmond Watson. We're going to elaborate on the conversation that we had on Monday, all things training camp and MLB trade deadline as well. Karen, you ready for the seasons to start? I am too. There's just something about kind of the end of the year. Once we get into the fall and the winter and the Bucks are back playing, the Lightning are back playing, it seems like normalcy again, right? Cannot wait for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Today, I thought I just posted this. Oh, there we go. I can't believe it's been 14 years for me. 14 years ago today, we won the Pony World Series, the Pony Bronco 11. People are asking me like how I got into sports and all these different things. I want to show you guys the picture here real quick. Pull this out. All right, here we go. Share screen. All right, so this right here is where it all started for me. Where it all started 14 years ago. We defeated Hermosillo, Mexico in the semifinals, and then Torrance, California to win the Pony World Series, Bronco 11. That means they were 11 years old. Truly a team effort. Every player and their family contributing is such an amazing accomplishment. That summer was filled with memories that'll last a lifetime. And you can see in the upper left-hand corner, our team here. Unbelievable. My assistant coaches, Jay Evans and Lou Estevez. A lot of these guys, and the majority of them went on to play varsity baseball. We had guys who went to South Carolina, Florida State, University of Chicago, played here at Santa Fe. And then Connor Scott, our first baseman and outfielder, actually got drafted in the first round by the Florida Marlins. So see all the celebration. That's not champagne. It's apple cider. And there's a winning score, 13-8. We beat Torrance, California. We won the home run derby. We won a bunch of the skills competition. And if you look at the bottom two pictures, you see the 9 pictures there. The picture at the bottom and the picture at the bottom right are the ones that mean the most to me. The picture on the bottom is a picture of me, my mom, and my dad. And we won the World Series in Chesterfield, Virginia. So my parents, 4 or 5 hour drive from New York, they were able to see the semifinal win over Mexico and the final win over California. And just having them there, it's a something that is like one of the greatest moments of my life. Also, in the bottom right-hand corner, you see 4 of our players hanging out with a youngster there wearing a San Francisco Giants uniform. And during the World Series, one of the days was dedicated to buddy baseball. And these are youngsters out there with all kinds of mental and physical just deficiencies, whether they were born with it or they experienced a horrific accident. And each team had 4 players assigned to help out. And the great thing about it was by the end of the World Series, by the end of that day, all 11 of our players, or all 12 of our players, actually went on the field. So there was 4 players on the field helping out, and the 8 rest of them are kind of sitting in the outfield waiting. And without me having to say anything, the rest of our team, the other 8 players, just went on the field and just started helping out where they needed. That was what it was all about. And we had one of the pony baseball commissioners from California come up to me and shook my hand. He goes, "Son, you should be very proud of your team, and not just about what they did on the field, but how they conducted themselves off the field as well." And when you hear that, and you hear so many just horror stories when it comes to travel baseball, just travel sports as a whole, to hear that, it just made me feel so good that we were doing the right thing. And, I still keep in contact with pretty much everybody on the team and all the parents. And, you spend so much time with people, and you end up spending more time with them than you do your normal friends and family. And just an incredible experience. And I still think about it very often. I still think about it all the time. And it's something that as a 26-year-old kid, I don't think I realized the impact until much later, until I was in my 30s and 40s. And now some of those kids are getting married and having their own kids. And it's pretty crazy. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, good stuff. But that happened. Unbelievable. 14 years ago, back in 2011, the Tampa Twins from North Tampa win the Pony World Series, Bronco 11 in Chesterfield, Virginia. A moment that I won't soon forget. That is for sure. All right, let's talk some Buccaneers training camp. I was there again last night. It was a night practice over there at the Avon Training Center at One Buccaneer Place. And I think about like this. Let's see. Hold on. All right, hold on. All right, got it. So, then Dave Velasquez, what's up, buddy? I was at the autograph session in the night practice. I felt so bad seeing Desmond Watson just standing around, no stretching, no running, no jogging, just fell for the kid. Yeah, I mean, he was out there. He had shoes on this time. Hammer, always good to look back at the great times of our life. Some of us don't do it enough. Great stuff. And yeah, David is kind of sad. I'm shocked at how Ian was fired up. He was. And, you know, talking to some of the people that cover this team, it was a little surprising, to be honest with you, that a lot of them agreed with Ian, because you got to think about it from the Bucs. You feel for the guy, right? You feel for Desmond Watson, and you think like, man, I hope he can do it. Well, we haven't seen improvement since the Buccaneers brought him in a couple of months ago. So if you're getting every single resource to drop the weight, keep the weight down, and possibly achieve your dream of being a National Football League player, and you're not taking advantage of that, like, I don't think anybody should feel bad for him. You gotta look in the mirror, my man. And as much as it's a sad story, it is kind of sad, but it's like, come on, man. Now's the time. Make something of your life. It's not always like this, man. There's a lot of people in unfortunate situations out there, and they have nobody to turn to. They have to look inward. They don't have help from friends or family, let alone a freaking professional sports franchise. So, I mean, Desmond Watson really needs to take a look in the mirror and realize, like, what am I doing here? Because I do think maybe Beck maybe a little bit too harsh. Maybe I don't know if he should be offended about him, but hey, that's his prerogative, right? You kind of see where he's coming from. But there is some semblance of, hey, man, you got to go out there and do something. You have to show incremental progress. Are you going to go from 440 to 315 in 6 weeks? No, of course not. But you got to see it. And forget about us seeing it. They've got to see it. The Buccaneers got to see it. So we'll see. And we'll touch on that again during the Beckles and Recher podcast day at 3 o'clock. I want to see if Ian, I want to see change his mind. If now that he's got a couple of days to think about it. What does he think? Because he's not even practicing. That's the thing. He's not even practicing with the team. He's out there. He's doing stretches, but he's not rotating in on the defensive line. So what's going to happen? If he's not even doing that, is he even going to be on the practice squad? We don't even know. He's got to get better. No doubt about it. All right, some of the big things from camp last night, and it was a steamy one out there, don't get me wrong. For all the things that we heard over the last couple of months when it came to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and when they're looking at a situation of, we want to push the ball down the field more often. We want to open up the offense a little bit. We want to get more vertical. I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't see that happen. I don't see that happening. I don't see how in the blue hell they are going to go out there and try to push the ball down the field. You know why? Because this defense is all over the Bucs offense the first couple of days. They are all over them. And it's not just the starters. Listen, I saw a couple of backups putting it on the Bucs starting offensive line yesterday. And it's not just the left tackle. Heck's doing okay, not doing great, but it's the entire unit. The entire unit that I look at and I go, you all have to step up. As much as we talk about Charlie Heck being the guy that's got to kind of, all right, now you got to take your step. You got to do everything you can to kind of hold down the fort, tread some water until Tristan comes back. You're looking at the rest of the guys too. I'm looking at Bredesen. I'm looking at Mark. I'm looking at Barton. I'm looking at Gedeke. Those guys need to step their game up because it has not been good. You're looking for these plays developing down the field. Who's got time for that? And it's tough to tell in training camp. It's tough to tell. And again, this is my, 11th or 12th training camp. It's tough to tell if it's going to really translate to the games because there's a lot of, I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, but there's just a lot of things where you just don't really know what's going on. It's impossible. It's impossible to tell from the naked eye, from us, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what kind of offense and defense. We don't know what players are going, whether it's a half speed or who's banged up. Like, we don't know. We don't know any of that stuff. You don't know if this training camp stuff is going to be able to translate to the regular season. Forget about the preseason. It's the regular season. Is it going to translate? We don't know. But I'm telling you right now, just from the naked eye, this defense is outplaying this offense. A couple of things that I really like to see yesterday. There were some one-on-one battles. And again, we were between the 30s and 30s, 30-yard line and the 30-yard line in the top two rows of the bleachers in the indoor facility. And one guy that stood out to me during the one-on-ones with the outside pass rusher versus the tackles was Chris Braswell. And I forgot who he was. I don't think it was one of the starters, but he made some legit contact that you could hear the pads pop from all the way up where we were in the stands. And he's a guy, as much as we want to talk about who needs to step up for this Buccaneers team, especially on defense, I think some of the pressure comes off of Chris Braswell a little bit because you go out and get a guy like Hassan Reddick. But with that being said, you invested a second-round pick into the kid. He's got to show something. He's not going to have to worry about starting or possibly having 10 sacks this year because you have Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby. But now, without David Walker, it's like, who's that next group of guys? When you rotate dudes in on the outside, what kind of impact is Chris Braswell going to have? I like he looked stronger. He had to get bigger. We knew that. We knew that was the case. He looked stronger. He looked more physical. I like that. Again, it's just a couple of plays in practice, but he has to continue to show out if he, wants to warrant that second-round draft pick. Second-round draft picks have kind of been a little bit of a bugaboo for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the last decade or so, outside of a guy like, Antoine Winfield Jr. Good sign right there. I'm looking at Hassan Reddick, and you just look at some of the plays on defense last night, and you look at with Levante, obviously we know he's going to be in there for the majority. Maintenance day for him yesterday. But when you start looking around and you start seeing Reddick and Diaby and Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey and Logan Hall, when you look at those five guys at the line of scrimmage, that's imposing. Those are five guys. And regardless of what, and Logan Hall's an interesting case because I hear some people say about Logan Hall like he's been underwhelming, and there you go, another second-round pick. But Logan Hall is never going to be that guy. He's not an outside pass rusher. He's not a 10 to 15 sack guy. He's a big dude that's going to be in there on early downs. He's Will Golston 2.0. I don't think there's anything wrong with that if he's consistent. I thought he found himself last year towards the back half of the season. He's going to get some sacks, but he's strong and sturdy as hell, and he's an imposing guy. When you look at Hassan on one side and Yaya on the other, and then the three guys between them are Logan Hall, Kalijah Kancey, and Vita Vea, watch out. It all starts where? In the trenches. You heard it from our guy, Ian Beckles Forever. He's got a freaking podcast named after the damn thing. In the trenches. That's where you have to be strong. Offensively, they're not. Defensively, they are. Now, another guy that has stood out to me, and I got to be honest, I was a little concerned about Benjamin Morrison going into this preseason. Why? Because you don't want to hear about young players dealing with injuries already. You don't want that. It's like, oh God, it's hard enough to stay healthy in the National Football League. If this kid's coming in with some issues, is that something that's going to be lingering? I tell you what, it didn't look like it's been lingering the last couple of days. And yesterday, when you watch him, there's just something about defensive backs. You can tell very early whether they're comfortable with catching the football or they're not. And I remember watching Jamel Dean as a rookie out of Auburn and going, he just didn't look comfortable. And even yesterday, when they're doing some of their drills, you watch Jamel Dean out there. It's just not smooth. That's just not part of his game. That's not him. Even just practicing, even when he knows the ball's coming his way, even when he's not guarding anybody, it's just not as smooth. When you look at Benjamin Morrison, it is. He just looks the part. And this team so desperately needs turnovers. They need interceptions. They need guys to be able to pick off the ball. There's so much room for growth on this defensive side of the ball that if they can just be 5% better in a bunch of different spots, this team is going to roll through the division. I'm telling you. This is a team that had trouble getting to the quarterback. This is a team that had trouble with turnovers, and they still won the division again. Even if the offense takes just a little step back and the defense gets a couple of percentage points better in all those different aspects, I mean, think about how good this team's going to be. Complementary football all over the place. Antoine Winfield Jr. didn't have his best year last year. Imagine you have him. Another guy that was flying the last 2 days is Tyke Smith. This dude is like shot out of a cannon. So you have that safety combination. You have, obviously, Zion McCollum, who looks like he's gotten a little bit stronger, too, to go with Jamel Dean. But you also have Benjamin Morrison, and they really like Jacob Parrish. You can tell. And that secondary, which seemed so thin last year, is much better this season. And you look at a guy like Bryce Hall, who had an interception yesterday, who they lost in week 1. He's going to be a factor. You look at Christian Izien, who Todd Bowles spoke about the other day. He loves Chris Izien. I'm telling you, man, I really, really like this defense. And when you look at what happened yesterday in the first 2 plays of training camp 11-on-11, there was good, there was stuff to like on both sides, right? The one thing that was, you really want to see is you see the first play action pass, Baker Mayfield, cross over the middle, going from the right to the left. A beautiful catch, pitch and catch from Baker Mayfield to Mike Evans. Unbelievable. It's just it's a thing of beauty when you see Mike Evans. And again, he's that guy, man. He is still that guy. So freaking impressive at what he can do at his age. He doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. Love to watch it. Second play, another play action, Baker Mayfield hurried. Who comes up with the interception? Benjamin Morrison. This guy is super talented, and he looks comfortable catching the football. I don't love that when you look at this offense, they're rushing, and Baker has no time. Somebody said to me, man, you know who's really struggled? Kyle Trask. And I go, yeah, of course. The offensive line has not done a great job with Baker. You think they're going to do a better job with Kyle Trask? They can't run? I mean, it's just the way it is. Todd Bowles spoke last night over at the Avon Health Training Center at One Buccaneer Place. Let's hear what he had to say after practice last night. It's about 4 minutes long. Here's what he had to say about a multitude of things. Always good to hear from Coach. Here's head coach Todd Bowles and some of his biggest takeaways from camp.
I look at the tape. The defensive backs played a lot better than the red zone area as far as understanding the technique. So we got to look at the tape.
What do you think about Benjamin Morrison? There was the catch by Mike Evans, like a 30-yard catch, and the very next play, he had an interception.
He made a great play the first play. Mike adjusted the route after he read it, and he got an interception on the second play. So he's a very smart player. He can see things before they happen, but he still has to go.
Is that the kind of stuff you want to see in camp, where there's kind of the back and forth a little bit?
Yeah, the coach wants to be back and forth. It's been great competition so far. We just got to continue to make each other better.
Like put Morrison in with the ones and give him tests with your best down the field?
We throw a bunch of people in with the ones just to see what they're doing. So Morrison's learned enough where he can go in with the ones and not flinch. We want to see when we throw guys in there how they respond. Some guys go in tank, and some guys respond. He responds.
How does Josh doing when you have those call-up periods? How does the offense execute?
Executing good. It's call-up periods, but at the same time, it's install period as well. So he's not completely calling the game, but he's calling what he has in, and he can execute those very well.
Any different preseason utilizing regular season or
We're going to change. What they're going to play. They may play the second game and they play the third game, depending on if we play Buffalo. So we'll see. We haven't worked that part of it out yet, but they're going to play. We never overlapped. We ran across each other a few times. I've seen him when he was in college up here. He was pros. He's an excellent coach. It's great to have him around here, and somebody to look at in the future.
Coach, what do you like about Sean Tucker and what he's doing so far in camp?
He's doing exactly what he did last year when we put him in ball games. He makes plays. He's a very good runner. He finds holes. He has low center of gravity. He can break tackles. He's exactly what we want.
Have you got both of the Williams running backs for sideline? You okay with that, or do you need to address that?
Depending on how long they're out, we're going to need to address it because we're kind of short back there right now.
Curious for you to see what Colt can do.
This is one of the guys I want to see tonight, so it's interesting to watch the tape on him. I know he can run and catch the football, but to play an overall game, I want to see where his progression is.
How's his blocking?
He's feisty. He can stick his face in there. It's just a matter of maintaining.
How beneficial was having the night practice in here just to change things up?
After coming out in the heat yesterday on the first day of full pads, to get them back energy-wise, I have to go at night and go inside. And it's right before a day off, so there's more energy than they would have been outside.
How the offensive line, we saw Mike Jordan working back a bit.
So far, he's still learning the scheme, so some of the things aren't fair when he just gets in there and there's a lot thrown at him from the other side of the football, but he fights it and finishes blocks, and as he continues to learn, we'll get a better evaluation of him.
What are your thoughts about Mike Evans saying that early 2000s?
All right. Good stuff there from head coach Todd Bowles. We didn't need to listen to that last question about Mike Evans and old school music. That was not important. So when you listen to Todd Bowles there, and again, it's so tough, and I hope you're able to turn up the audio because Todd is so soft-spoken, and of course in the indoor facility, so it's just like the acoustics in there aren't great. But you heard what he had to say about Benjamin Morrison, right? He loves the guy. And one thing that, if you've been listening to the show, you know that I wasn't keen on getting rid of Todd Bowles for Liam Cohen. Because there's something to be said about a guy with experience, guys that have done it before, and a guy that's a real leader and a professional. One thing that we don't put a lot of credit into is something that Todd said, and you probably missed this. He said we mix in a lot of our young guys with the guys that are starting. And you saw that last night. There was a couple of different plays where I was like, it was the starting defense and then just one different guy here. One different safety, or one different linebacker, one different down lineman. It was one play where Antonio Greer, former USF standout, was in there with the starters at the linebacker spot, and a great throw from Baker Mayfield to Payne Durham. And it looked like it was going to be a completion, but Greer was battling with him. It was down the left sideline, so it was right in front of us, and he was able to kind of knock the ball away. And you don't do things like that unless you have experience. Todd knows, hey, we don't need to just do a full sale like line change like you see in hockey where it's like 11 guys in, 11 guys out. Oh, can't do that, can't put that guy in there. No, there's a consistency with Todd. And I'm telling you, the players love it. They love it. And I do too. I think the defense now, you're going to I wouldn't be surprised if those were the guys holding the water this year over the offense. There's just something about it. I'm probably too concerned about the offense. I have questions. I do. I just think there's a lot of question marks. First and foremost, Tristan Wirfs being out. I mean, dude's walking around with like a cane yesterday. Still out there, which is good, but you just don't, you don't want to see that. It's your best player. I also have concerns about Josh Grizzard. People are saying, oh, the offense is very similar. He's got some different wrinkles. Okay. Even if there is a proof of concept of you having first-year offensive coordinators do well, it doesn't mean that every single guy you're going to put in there is going to be successful. And after last year, when you played so well, do you want to regress? No, you don't. I look at Baker Mayfield and what he was able to do last year, finally putting 2 good seasons together, but that's not something he was able to do before last season. It was one good year, one bad year, and just, we know that's what it was going to say, right? Also, Bucky Irving. I saw a trade possibility today, a trade scenario by ESPN talking about trading Rachaad White to the Chicago Bears in a 3-way deal. I would never, ever I wouldn't look to trade a running back, especially at a position right there. And you heard Todd Bowles answer a question from Greg Allman about it. 2 or 3 of their backup running backs are banged up. So you're seeing pretty much every time Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, and Sean Tucker. That's not good. That is not good. They need some help. They're talking about bringing in another quarterback to take some of the throws off of some of these dudes. It's a lot of reps to go around. You have a lot of other guys at a lot of different spots, but quarterback and running back, you're kind of thin right now. I still have my concerns about Bucky Irving staying healthy for an entire season. He's not the biggest guy. He runs hard. He doesn't know that he's not a big guy. And he had 3 different injuries last year. Nobody else is talking about this. And I know they don't want to put that negativity into the world. I pray that at the end of the regular season, he doesn't even have a scratch on him. But I can only judge what I've seen in the past to kind of foresee what I think is going to happen in the future. And I'm a little concerned. So Grizzard, Wirfs, also Grizzard, Wirfs, Bucky, Chris Godwin, what happens to him when he comes back? Is he going to come back? When is he going to come back? Is he going to be 100%? We don't know. The more question marks you have, the worse off it is. I tell you what, looking at a kid like Dennis Houston, he's a name you're going to see in preseason. He's going to probably flash a bunch. He's not going to make this team because they have 9 million wide receivers, but he's another player that's played really well in training camp. Don't be surprised if he, ends up signing with another team and catches on with them, because he's just made a lot of really good plays. Sterling Shepard just seems to get, whether it's 1-on-1 or whether it's 7-on-7 or 11-on-11, like he's like running into guys. Like it hasn't been a smooth training camp for Sterling. I don't think Rakim Jarrett has really stood out a bunch. I mean, Jalen McMillan, I know a couple of days ago when I wasn't there, I had a couple of drops. I mean, the guy that stands out is Emeka Egbuka. We had the conversation with Matt Matera yesterday from Pewter Report, and he said it to you guys. And I know it may not be I know somebody was coming back with, oh, what happened to Jalen McMillan? You're automatically going to demote him because Egbuka's a first-round pick. That's not the case at all. The matter of fact is this kid, Emeka Egbuka, looks wise beyond his years on the field, and he handles himself like a professional off of it. Not saying that Jalen McMillan doesn't, but facts are facts. One guy was a mid-round draft pick. The other guy was a first-round draft pick, right? Jalen McMillan was the 3rd of 3 Washington wide receivers taken. Emeka Egbuka was a first-round draft pick. It doesn't mean necessarily automatically he's going to be able to get, the leg up on him, but it just shows that he's probably got more skills. He's probably more talented. Nothing wrong with that. But you see so many of these quick passes. I don't see how this offense is going to be a long yardage down the field. Some people may look at this offense and think it's more of like a dink and dunk, and Baker's going to have to be more of a game manager and a play action guy and really focus on the run. Like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. So, listen, and another guy, and lastly, before we turn on to some of our race stuff, when you hear that the coach was looking at you and he was keeping an eye on you, that's got to mean something. Devin Culp is like a bull in a freaking china shop, that guy. I have been fascinated with him ever since he's been with this team. And if he can block, like at all, don't be surprised if he really cuts into the snaps that Cade Otton has. This is not a great time for Cade Otton to have some issues where he's banged up. because Payne Durham's getting opportunities and Devin Culp's getting opportunities. And I just like Devin Culp. And I thought the tight ends blocked a lot better last year than people thought. Going into the season, Kate Otten told me we were embarrassed last year. It's not just on the offensive line, the inability to run the football. That's on us as well. All right, time for some Rays talk. They fall, unfortunately, last night in the Bronx after jumping out to a lead. Yeah, I don't get it last night where what's the big thing that people get on the Rays for when it comes to their game in, game out operation? That they always go with the numbers. They never go with their gut. Okay. And you know, that's what they tell us. This is what works. Okay, fine. And then you get into a situation like last night where you're trying to make a comeback, right? The Yankees are up, what was it, 6-3 in the 7th. And Christopher Morel's at the plate. Christopher Morel, he of the 0 for 3. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Was anybody else losing their mind last night when this happened? It's 6-3. The fate of your season is on the line. This is what I don't understand this whole thought process. Bear with me. Excuse me, it's 6-4, right? 6-4? Yeah, it's 6-4. So you're in the game in the 8th. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I had this exact thing on here. Okay, 6-4 in the 8th. Jonathan Aranda singles. Junior Caminero singles. So now it's a 6-4 game. You have 2 runners on and nobody out. And Christopher Morel is coming up to the plate. Christopher Morel. The fact that this dude is still on the team is mind-boggling to me. The ego of the Rays to not move on from this guy could cost them their season. Not the only thing, but one of the things. Because you're trying to squeeze every last drop of talent out of this kid because you traded for him for Isaac Paredes. I don't get it. And now, in a situation like this, and again, it's like, oh, he had some hard hit balls. I don't give a shit. I don't care. He's 0 for 3 with 3 ponchas, and you're going up against a right-handed pitcher in Jonathan Loaisiga. And what happens? 6, 4, 3, double play. Chandler comes in after that, pops out to Ryan McMahon, and there you go. Volpe solo shot, gave a little insurance, and that game was over. You're following by the book so much. And then a situation like this where you could put in anybody else to drop down a bunt, maybe put runners in scoring position. Maybe a guy, left-handed guy where he can put the ball in play and get his ass down the line, beat out a double play, like a Simpson, like a Jake Mangum. But no, you keep in Christopher Morel against a right-handed pitcher. He's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, and he grounds into a double play. Whose fault is that? Is that more on Christopher Morel? Is that more on Kevin Cash and the Rays? I'm mind-boggling. So many people, you guys just in this Tampa Bay area, you guys give Kevin Cash a pass. You give Eric Neander a pass. You give Kyle Snyder a pass all the time. Anytime those guys make a mistake, it's like it doesn't happen. Todd Bowles could sneeze in the middle of an interview and everybody say, get rid of him. He's got COVID. Like, what the hell, man? Crazy. Shit is mind-boggling to me. And this team is, they're going to be moving on. They're going to be moving on from some of these players. And from what I'm hearing, here are some of the guys that they could be looking into. Don't be surprised. I know Taylor Rogers is a name that's been going around a lot because the Rays could find some bullpen arms. They always make a deal for a bullpen guy. Taylor Rogers, keep an eye on him. Maybe a guy like Shelby Miller from Arizona. Looking at some of the guys in Atlanta, like Johnson and Iglesias. Those are some of the guys that I'm hearing as well. Let's see. Some of the guys that could be on the move. I'm looking at, and we mentioned this yesterday, I told you guys, Fairbanks, Detroit, Houston, Mets, Brewers, Blue Jays. Blue Jays seems to be kind of hot on them. Did I mention the Dodgers? Did I mention the Dodgers? I didn't mention them. The Dodgers also another fit for Pete Fairbanks. Dodgers, Blue Jays, maybe the Mets. I mean, Garrett Clevenger could be moved. Don't be surprised if Clevenger gets moved to a team like the Mets or the team like the Phillies. And then what happens with, their roster? Like, what are they going to do? For a guy like Jose Caballero? Is he a guy that they move on from? I don't quite understand what the Rays are trying to do. When you look at this team, there's a lot of waffling back and forth. And again, I'm having this conversation with a lot of people that work in the media, people that cover baseball. And it's such a confusing team. And we had a really long, extensive conversation yesterday with Evan Klosky. And I really enjoyed chatting with him because we really go back and forth and we really take a deep dive into the Rays. And we don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to this team. Because you can't. You have to make sure, and hold on, looks like the Yankees have made a small move trading for outfielder Austin Slater. 236, 5 home runs, 721 OPS, 51 games. Productive against left-handed pitchers. They, of course, the Yankees have gone out and got Ahmed Rosario. And we saw what he was able to do for the Rays. That was a move that we really enjoyed because he could play multiple positions. And he was a guy that really smoked left-handed pitching. The Rays ended up trading him, and then, you don't see the guy again. I saw something last night that I think it was Randy Arozarena was the 10th player in MLB history with 5 straight seasons of 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. I know that's the way that a guy like Eric Neander has to do business, but it doesn't mean that we have to like it. And for years, I've said that Rays fans deserve better. And some people push back on that, but I could give two shits who pushes back on what I have to say. You deserve better as a baseball fan here in the Bay Area. You do. There's enough blame to go around. But when it's outside of the control of the payroll and the stadium and that kind of stuff, I mean, there's still decisions that have to be made by the coach, by the pitching staff, by the general manager that is fair for criticism. It's not personal. But the fact that we see young pitchers regressing, the fact that we see a right-handed batter who's been just horrid this year getting an opportunity in a game that you need to win. That game started last night. You're 2.5 games out of a wild card. You're now 3. If you win that game last night, who the hell knows? You're 55-53. You're a game and a half. You're knocking at the door of the wild card. And it just seems like the Rays are looking at this season and they're just going, yeah, we're 54-50. There's no excitement hey, we're going to turn this thing around. Do you get that feeling? Do you get that feeling from the Rays? It's like this. Maybe, hopefully, let's just trade Yandy, Brandon Lau, and Fairbanks and Clevenger and all these different guys. And if we make it, we make it. If we don't, we don't. If you have that type of apathetic attitude, how do you expect the fans to think how do you expect the fans to believe if you don't believe? I mentioned this last night when I was talking to somebody about the Lightning. We know every single year, and again, I know about the salary cap and all that crap, but we know every single year that Julian Breezeball, even if he doesn't have money, because he's so close to the salary cap, he is doing whatever it takes to make that Tampa Bay Lightning team better. Whatever it takes. You ask him, hey, what are you focused on around the trade deadline? Julian says, I'm not just focused around the trade deadline. I am trying to find a way 365 days a year to get this team better. And his actions prove that to be true. When it comes to our Rays, it's tough. It is tough, man. And you don't want it to be like that. You don't want to look at this situation and just be so damn negative. You guys know me. I'm a positive guy. I'm pretty freaking optimistic. But it's hard to buy what the Rays are selling. It is. Because you see, whether it's fair or not, you describe in other teams, it's just the reality of the situation. It's not the same. And from what I'm hearing, as far as like Stu Sternberg and his involvement, like I don't think he's has his hand. I don't think he really cares at all. I think he's focusing on selling this team and getting his money and saying goodbye. That's about it. I don't know if he's necessarily meddling in the operations right now when it comes to players and payroll and all that stuff. I did find out today that whatever happens when it comes to the sale of our Tampa Bay Rays, that the Rowdies are going to be part of that deal. So that makes me feel a lot better. Don't want to see the Rowdies, of course, go anywhere. Shout out to my guy, Honest Hammer. He's going to the game Friday night. Pumped to see a dominant team in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Brad, not a fan of Kevin Cash. Cash has lost all feel for the game in the clubhouse. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he's gone with new ownership. Do you think Cash is gone next year if we miss the postseason? No, I don't. I don't think he's gone at all. It has to. He's just got a fallback plan. It's if it doesn't work out, it's like, oh well, he did the best with what he had. That's such a. It's such a weird way to look at things. Well, he did a great job for $20. He made this kind of meal. He made you a Salisbury steak. He only had $20. Yeah, great. It probably doesn't taste terrible, but I want a filet. I want a New York strip. I don't need freaking truffle butter and gold freaking flakes on it. Just give me a freaking filet. Give me a $35 steak instead of a $5 Salisbury steak. That's all we're asking for. What do you guys think? And now, like, we're talking about this. Brad and Benny, and I want to hear from you guys. And there's the link here. Always want to hear from you guys. StreamYard.com/N8DYFKVZNY. Just click on the link there inside the chat. Whether you're on your phone, whether you're on your laptop, you can join in on the conversation. What do you think about the future of a guy like Kevin Cash? Is it time for a new voice for this team? Is it time for just, again, organizationally, it blows my mind how they can be so poor offensively. And for years, they've been priding themselves on pitching and defense. Well, the pitching and defense isn't great shakes either. It's regressing. It's getting worse. How could a guy like Taj Bradley, who's supposed to be a part of this future, be pitching in Durham? What are we doing? What is going on with him? What is going on with Shane Boz? What is going on with Shane McClanahan and the inability to get him back? Like, I just don't get it. It seems like these guys are getting worse when they come to the big leagues, right? Young Swag, 69. Do you think new ownership moves on from Neander? No, and I don't think they should. Because you have to wonder, again, when I say things like those guys have made mistakes, those guys need to be better, in no form or fashion, and does that directly correlate in my mind to they need to get rid of those guys? It's fair. Man, it's part of the gig if you are involved in professional sports. Like, you're going to get critiqued by what you do. Neander has to do better. So does Kevin Cash. So does Kyle Snyder. And it's weird because nobody in the Tampa Bay area ever says that. Ever. You don't hear that from anybody. Nobody ever says that. It's, well, look what they deal with. and he's a great guy. Okay, fine. But this team has won the division before. This team has made the playoffs before. And now we're looking at yet another postseason absence. Is anybody going to say anything? And listen, they weren't ravaged with injuries this year either. Shane wasn't in there. I get it. Josh Lowe missed some time in the beginning, but he's been playing terribly. I know Brandon Lau's out now, but that's part of the gig. It's part of the gig. Junior Camaro's been in there all year long. Yandy Diaz has been in there all year long. You've had Taj, you've had Boz, you've had Pepio, you've had Littell, you've had Drew Rasmussen, you've had Pete Fairbanks, you've had Mason Montgomery, you've had Uceda. All of these guys have been healthy. Big parts of your team. You've had Jonathan Aranda. Where's the excuse? There has to be more accountability from this team. This is great. Brad, you right here. Need more accountability overall for poor performances. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. The consistency is lacking. If you're just joining us, this is what I'm hearing as far as who could be moved from the Rays. Zach Littell. Keep an eye on a team like Detroit. Keep an eye on a team that needs a couple of starters, maybe not at the top, because you know what Zach Littell is. He's not an ace. But if you're a team like Detroit and you have Mize and you have Flaherty to go with Tariq Skubal and the crew, having a guy like Zach Littell that can eat up innings at the back end of your rotation in the second half of the season is big time. Big time. So keep an eye on a team like Detroit when it comes to Littell. Don't be surprised if Detroit possibly goes after Fairbanks themselves. I gave you the list yesterday. Detroit, San Fran, New York when it comes to the Mets, San Diego, Philly, Toronto. That's Fairbanks. Taj, St. Louis, I mentioned that. That could be a fit for him. And then I gave you some of the relievers as well. David, on the other hand, we need to praise the guys that are doing well. Dave, I don't think so. Usually I agree with you, brother. Me and you, we agree on a lot. Now's not the time to praise guys that are doing well. Now's the time to be real because now it's nut cutting time. You have to figure out what works and what doesn't work. This isn't a praise hallelujah session. And I've been there. I've given Jonathan Aranda his flowers and Junior Caminero and those guys that have really stood out and Drew Rasmussen. This team needs to get real. The Rays need to get real with themselves. You're right there. Why not push all your chips in the middle and go for it? What year are we going to see the Rays go for it? What year? It doesn't mean you have to go. This Rays team every single year makes all these trades to build up their prospects. You did it one time, trading Joe Ryan for Nelson Cruz, and it blew up in your face. And it's like, we're not doing that again. Why? Why not give up a couple of prospects to take a fucking swing? Take a swing, goddammit. Shit. This fucking passive-aggressive bullshit where all these freaking things, when it's like, oh my God. Every single decision has to be some kind of scientific formula of like, well, we did this because the metrics of this, and this guy's 4 for 10 on a Friday night in 75-degree weather against left-handed pitchers from the state of California in the last 2 weeks. That's what the metrics tell us. That guy's going to be good maybe in 3 years. Get real. Get real. Nobody wants that shit, man. There's too many other things to do with your time. There's 2 other teams in the Bay Area that are doing it the right way. And that was not, Benny, that was not an impersonation of anybody. That was just me. The defense of this team and everything they do is right. It's turning people off. I'm a wrestling guy, okay? I'm a wrestling guy. And shout out to Greg DeCruz, who just said that he watched the I know you said it, Greg. Go watch the WWE Unreal thing. I just finished it. It's amazing. Shout out to our guy, Sean. There's a thing in wrestling that happened years ago. So, years ago, if you remember Paul Heyman, okay, Paul Heyman wrote with Roman Reigns. Now he's with Seth Rollins. He was Paulie Dangerously. He was a part of ECW. When he first came to WWF, he was a guy, when he was in the writer's room and he was with SmackDown, he was always pushing former ECW heavyweight champion Rob Van Dam. You guys remember Rob Van Dam. He had the great like onesie with the graffiti, like badass. And watching interviews over the years, what we learned was that some of the reasons why that Rob Van Dam didn't get pushed as much is because Paul Heyman was consistently bringing him up. What about RVD? What about RVD? What about RVD? What about RVD? Time and time and time and time again. And you guys know this. You guys know this. You know when you have that friend and he's like, bro, you got to go and get this burger at this restaurant. Bro, this burger is the best. Every single time you see a commercial on TV for McDonald's, you know who's got the best burgers? This place got the best burgers. You hungry? Bro, go to the burger spot. I've been telling you about this burger spot for a hot minute. This burger restaurant is amazing. Burgers, burgers, burgers. At the end of the day, it's over. You don't want to hear that shit anymore. Even if you go to that spot and have the burger, you may not even like it as much because your friend's been talking about it so much and building it up and building. It's enough. You get sour on things like that because people constantly sell you. My girlfriend's the best. She's the hottest girl ever. Look at how beautiful. Isn't she beautiful? This beautiful girl right here. She's the prettiest girl you ever did see, right? She could be pretty. But since this guy has been gnawing your fucking ear off about it for the last 5 years, you don't want to hear it anymore. And you're like, yeah, I guess she's pretty. Even if she is, like, you don't care. That's how it is with the Rays. Trust us. Trust us. Trust us. This guy's going to be good. This deal may work out. Just listen to the conversation we had with Evan Klosky yesterday. I'm waiting to see about the guys in the deal for Randy Rosarena. Even though one guy's 4-7, the other guy's got a 220 batting average. Yeah, great. Great. Those guys really seem to work out. The Rays have a great track record of trading for bats and those guys coming and being all-stars. Even took Jonathan Aranda all of these years for it to work out. And now he's slumping big time. People don't want to hear the same old shit over and over and over again. It's an insult of your intelligence. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear how great your burgers are. I don't want to hear how pretty your girlfriend is. I don't want to hear that you're trading one of these household names for prospects that we're not going to see for 3 years. We're over it. Over it. I'm sick of it. And you know why? It's because I've been defending this team for so long. Even my pre-radio days. Because I would tell my kids, go be a Rays fan. Don't be a Yankee fan because I grew up a Yankee fan. You don't grow up in New York. There's no sense for you to be a Yankees fan. Support the local team. But as the years go by and you see how they do business, and the kids ask, well, what about this? Why are they trading this guy? I just bought this jersey, coach, and they traded him 2 weeks later. What do you say? What do you say to those kids? There's a huge and alarming disconnect between the Tampa Bay Rays and the people in the Tampa Bay area. Notice how I didn't say the fans. There is an alarming disconnect between the Tampa Bay Rays and the people in the Tampa Bay area. And if this next ownership group really wants the support from Tampa and St. Pete, it's more than just putting the stadium in Tampa. It's about giving a shit about the people that live here. And unfortunately, there's just not enough people that bring up these questions. There's just not enough people that talk about this kind of stuff. Because if you don't agree with what the Rays do, you're a hater. Right? And if you do agree, those people just they just they toe the company line. They do the same thing over and over and over again. Nobody asks the hard questions. No. Everything's a cookie cutter, beat around the bush, bullshit response. Just the way it goes. But that's why you're here on the Jay Recher podcast. Shout out to my friend over at The Honest Hammer. I love him. Big time Tampa Bay sports fan. He's just the best. He really is. Just a really, really good dude. Go to thehonesthammer.com, and with everything here, we'll bring it up real quick so you guys can see what he is all about, because if you need something done here in the Tampa Bay area, he is going to be able to help you out. There you go. Look at this. I mean, come on. This guy's no joke. Tampa Construction, they make your vision a reality. 813-244-0956. What do you need? Pre-engineered metal building, bathroom remodel, kitchen remodel, commercial construction, new construction, interior structural renovations. They have everything for you. And again, he's a Tampa Bay guy that is a big-time sports fan. Go hit up my guy, Russ, 813-244-0956. Honest Hammer General Contractor Company, CGC 153116. You can hit them up on email, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. Even if you have a question, like, hey, Hammer, I'm looking to do this. I'm looking to remodel my bathroom. What's that going to look like? He'll answer your question for you. Just tell him that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Again, Honest Hammer, Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. Big time sports fan right there. Love chatting with Hammer. Big golfer too, man. If you like golfing, he will definitely get on out there with you. And I got to get out there with him as well. All right, let's bring him in. Let's keep this conversation going. We're talking some Tampa Bay Buccaneers football with our guy from Bucs Game Day and every single game day under the sun, our guy, Logan Robinson. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be here. Always appreciate you, Jay. It's been great to be out there with you. I don't know about the heat, though. I mean, this has been absolutely insane. This has been crazy. Like, I feel like I've been enjoying training camps the last couple of years. And, yes, we've had some rough days. Mm-hmm. But this one just feels different. I think it's because the dew point, the humidity, it's just absolutely nuts. You're like in a sauna every day. You don't have to worry about really going to do cardio and stuff. You have full-on 3 hours of a good heart rate going because you're sweating so much and profusely. So it was nice to be inside the IPF last night and be there and watch these guys get after it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I was on the field Sunday morning in North Carolina, and I'm at this high school and coaching third base, and I'm thinking to myself, bro, it's so freaking hot out here. And I'm thinking, wait, tomorrow at this time, I'm going to be at Bucs training camp. And it was 99 in North Carolina, or at least that's what it said. Woo. And then it was 100 the next day. And I'm like, and then I go to Rowdy's training this morning and I'm like, it's hot out here too. What the hell is going on, man? Are
the Rowdies practice right by the stadium over here?
No, the Rowdies actually practice over on Waters and the Veterans behind the Wawa right there. So if you ever drive north on the Veterans and right off of Waters, you see that soccer complex to the right. That's their training facility. It's beautiful. It's beautiful over there. Really nice. But again, when you're on the field, looking at both sides of the field, there's no shade. So it's not great, but we had a blast out there today. I'm going to ask you right off the top, this defense is just outplaying this offense. I don't think there's no really rhyme or reason around it. Or is it more of because the absence of Tristan Wirfs, or is this defense just that much better? Like, what do you see because people are like, oh, Kyle Trask isn't having a great preseason. I'm like, dude, Baker's got no time. Yeah. Kyle Trask ain't going to have no freaking time. Like, what do you make of just the easy question of like, is it more of the offense or the defense?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was talking about in our instant reaction last night. And it's the offensive line that's having some struggles early on. And you really wouldn't think that too much just because of one piece leaving and being out. But when it's a guy that's an all-pro, and not only is he just the talent-wise it brings it, but also to the communication and alerting things to the offensive line, also to Baker, it's caused a little bit of some miscommunications. And last night, I mean, you got Jose Ramirez just kind of just literally just walking over to the quarterback and just tapping him on the back of the helmet. And that's happened a few times so far since the pads have been on. And, it's early parts of camp. Josh Grizzard, I know that's not a whole new system. There's a couple new wrinkles in there and pass concepts and yada, yada, yada. But, it is interesting to see that this offensive line is having some issues just early on. And maybe it's a good sign, though, that you feel really good. And it should be about the defensive line with Vita Vea and Kalijah Cansey, and you've got some younger guys too that have made some really good plays, like Elijah Roberts, who has been absolutely dominant, and not just one-on-ones, but also in team periods, and saw him get to the backfield as well last night. So, they don't have an easy task whatsoever on a day-to-day basis when they're in training camp with this defensive line. Hassan Reddick, I think, has also added some issues too for these tackles. Charlie Heck has had to he's really learning quick, and he's learning how fast that guy is off the edge. And Yaya Diaby seems like he's expected to have a big season. So I don't know. I don't know if it's of much of a major concern yet, but this offense has got to find a way to respond on Thursday morning tomorrow, because Baker did have a really good day. I believe it was on maybe it was Monday. It was a couple of training camps ago, but Baker looked hot. He looked great. He was getting the ball out there quick. He was finding guys in stride. He was absolutely dicing up that defense. So, it's the early parts of training camp and such, but if you're going to take something that you're going to be happy about, I guess you would take it. Hey, the defense is performing very well, and that's something that the defense needed. We needed to see. We needed to see improvement. We needed to see defensive backs make those next steps, and we're seeing that right now in the early parts.
Yeah, I when I'm looking at this defense too, it's just there's just different swagger about them, right? When you look at those 5 guys on the defensive line during one of the periods last night, where it's Yaya on one side, Reddick on the other side, and then just 3 mountains of Logan Hall, Vita Vea, and Coach Casciato. It was like, what offense is going to look at that and be like, yeah, we're going to be able to block that up, right? Like, I feel there's just a lot more confidence with that group. But then the back end, man, the Benjamin Morrison pick yesterday, it looked like he just looks so natural picking the football off. And I have no issues with him if they kind of want to like usher him along slowly and let Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum, because Zion looked strong last night, being real physical with the receivers. But man, and Jacob Parrish he's fitting right in as the nickel guy. So like, I really like this defense as a whole. I don't even know if there's really any sore spots, because like Antonio Greer was making plays last night. The linebackers were making plays. I think this defense is going to be vastly improved going into the 2025 year.
Jeb, I'm glad you brought up Benjamin Morrison, because he's someone that has been an absolute menace across the field. I mean, in one-on-ones, now that we're getting the pads on, we get to see some pure one-on-ones with some of these wide receivers, and you get physical at the line, and this is where it matters the most. And Benjamin Morrison has been known since his days at Notre Dame. When he's fully healthy, this guy can track the ball. He keeps his eyes on the wide receiver until that last second. He just understands. I think he understands the vision of the wide receivers. He tracks that, and he understands when that ball is coming around from his shoulder. It's really impressive. And like you said, Jacob Parrish was one that we saw in rookie minicamp, OTAs, mandatory minicamp. Like, he was just a guy that was just making plays all over the field. And I think I was talking with Rick Stroud from Tampa Bay Times, and we were just glossing at what the future looks like with this defensive back room, because sure enough, like you were mentioning there, Jay, like Benjamin Morrison, whenever Benjamin got that pick, so Mike Evans beat him on a route. He does what Mike Evans does, and it was a great ball from Baker, and those two connect very well for a 30-yard gain and sliced up the zone. But then he responds back and makes a play and grabs that interception, and he was with the ones. Jamel Dean was on the sideline. Jamel Dean, that wasn't the first time this has happened during camp. There's been some team drills, meaning you got your 11 on 11, good on good. You got your first team offense, first team defense, and Benjamin Morrison has had some burn there in those first couple of snaps with the first team. And I think, of course, Todd Bowles likes to test a lot of these younger guys early on in their rookie training camps and OTAs, and sure enough, that's happening with Benjamin Morrison. I think you're right there. I agree with you that it's been very exciting to watch this defense get after it. They're physical. They're very communicative. I think that's something that the sideline has been predicating heavily. I can hear the coaches saying, communicate. And I think that's something maybe that lacked last season as well, that hurt them. But it has been heavy presence of, hey, we've got to talk to each other, definitely in the defensive backfield, where guys like Tyke Smith, who has also been balling.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
It's there's a lot to be excited about, and it's causing the offense so far to have fits.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before earlier in the show, that one thing I love about Todd Bowles, and this is why I was not keen on them getting rid of Todd Bowles for a guy like Liam Cohen, is that he's done this pretty much every year in training camp. Is he'll throw one of these rookies in the deep end during training camp, where it'll be 10 starters and then one rookie. And I remember he did it with Yaya years ago. I think he did it with Antoine. But Antoine started from the beginning. There was a couple of guys over the years, and it wasn't necessarily like their top guy. and it was like a linebacker, and they were just, Quan Alexander. That's what they brought in Bruce Carter as a free agent with the Cowboys, and they put in Quan just for a couple plays. He was the only non-starter out there, and he picked up like 2 fumbles on 5 plays. And then before you knew it, he was the starting middle linebacker for the season with Lovie Smith. So, I mean, this was even pre-Todd Bowles, but we've seen this with the Buccaneers. Well, they'll just throw some of these young guys in there, and it's either sink or swim. And I love how well this defense has played. You're right. Tyke's all over the place. He was out there like hitting last night. What do you make of Shiloh Sanders? Because Shiloh is a guy that, listen, he's going to be asked about a lot. I've actually been really impressed with what he's been able to do. He's super physical. He's always around the football. Obviously off the field stuff. He's one of the last people signing every time. He's always got a smile on his face. I'm pulling for the kid, man. I'm pulling for the kid. He has you were there the first day when he's like talking, like he's really like, if it was Shiloh Johnson or Shiloh Miller or something like that, like you would still like the kid. Some people just don't like him because of his last name and because of who his dad is. But I mean, he's really been, he's been, I know he's an undrafted guy, but he's busting his ass. And you can see, like, if he doesn't fit in here because of how many safeties they have, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else picked him up and gave him a look if they don't have the depth that the Buccaneers have at the safety spot.
I think everybody is pulling for him. I mean, he's got a whole army behind him. He has actually like his own team. If you go to his following, I mean, he's got guys everywhere, Jay. Like he's got YouTube. I mean, we just put up, like you were mentioning, his introductory press conference with the media, which was really nice. He went over and shook everybody's hands eye to eye. Also, too, after the interview was over, asking a few things about the Tampa area, which beaches he should go hit, best places to go grab some food. Like he's a personable guy, and then you see him, like you said, after practice, he's over there signing autographs and engaging, and definitely too. Once he makes a play, once he has the opportunity to get out there, and if he makes a play of any way, shape, or form, he's making sure to go over there and hype up the crowd and everything. Right. And not only is it just something that you would think, all right, some of these veterans don't want this out there, it's just causing too much of a distraction or something. No, I think the veterans and some of the guys that have been around this team have really enjoyed his presence on this team. The thing that he's going to have to do, though, is make sure that he's putting himself in the right positions. A lot of his things, his things that are hurt him a little bit are his coverage, and definitely whenever he's out there in deep and having to cover some of these pass plays, that's where he struggled in college. If he can improve and do those certain things, and two, excel at the special teams, because that's going to be his best way of making this roster, and he certainly understands that, then yes, this could be a guy that has the potential of maybe making roster if he gets an opportunity on the practice squad. There's that, but still, nonetheless, he's a guy that brings a lot of energy. I mean, we saw him. Sean Tucker had a lot of burn last night, Jay. We were watching that in the IPF, and Sean Tucker, he surprises you sometimes with his speed because he feels like it's a bowling ball with physicality, but he breaks one off to the side on the sideline, and here comes 28 with Shiloh Sanders, and he popped him. He popped Sean Tucker and put him to the ground off to the sideline, and that's just one of his best attributes as a player is his physicality that he brings, and he's good at takeaways as well. So this could be interesting to see what he does. He had a really nice PBU a couple of days ago. And that's where he was putting his arms up to the sideline to all the fans in the stands and hyping them up. But he's got a whole army behind him. They're shouting Shiloh, Shiloh, Shiloh. I mean, it's him, Mike Evans, of course, Baker, Bucky, as always, has become a massive fan favorite here in Tampa. So like Shiloh's now, he's up there with the fan base of the chants and the crowd, and we'll just interested to see where things go there from him. And, Todd Bowles has talked highly about him. He felt like it's been a nice rival, but it's more of Todd Bowles saying, this is cool, but he's got to make plays on the field, and we'll see what ends up happening with him.
One of the guys that Todd Bowles mentioned last night, because it's always interesting when a coach says, I was keeping an eye on him, I was watching him, and that was Devin Culp. I saw it last year too. It's hard to tell what Devin Culp was going to be when you're a tight end at Washington, and you have Rome Odunze and Jay Polk and Jalen McMillan ahead of you. Like, how many times are you really going to get the football, right, from Michael Penix? But this is a guy that flashed a little bit last year, whether it was camp, whether it was practice, whether it was games, and just he's a guy when he gets out in the open field, he's huge. I don't know how you tackle a guy that freaking big, and you have to wonder with K. Dotton being out, right? Payne Durham's getting an opportunity. Devin Culp is getting an opportunity. I think Culp probably has the highest ceiling under the three of those guys. I mean, if Culp can block a little bit, Logan, could he be tight end one?
Dude, we were out there at training camp together last year, and he was a guy like I was like, dang, this man is just continuing to make catch after catch after catch, and they are not easy catches either. Like these are
Right.
these are grabs and tight coverage. And when you're a tight end, that's going to always usually be the case. You're not going to be one of these freak tight ends that are in the league today where they're wide open like this. For a big boy like him, you're going to have a linebacker on, you're going to have a DB, you're going to have a safety, just like we've seen, Tyke Smith got beat on some routes last night and some one-on-ones from this guy, Devin Culp. But I agree with you. If you can get the blocking down, you got to feel really good about this tight end unit. I think he's definitely certainly ahead of Payne Durham in some regard, just because of the inconsistencies from Payne Durham with his hands, and that's something he struggled with. But blocking wise, if he can make that next surge, I think there's a lot of excitement for the tight end room overall. Cade Otton has been dealing with a hamstring injury for now going on to, if it still goes, it'll be his fourth day tomorrow morning where he's not available. So it's allowed for Devin Culp to get in there with the one, to get those opportunities and build some more chemistry with Baker Mayfield. And, I think Todd Bowles is fine with Otton being out and just trying to, of course, hamstrings, you want to give as much time as possible for those to heal, but it's allowed for Devin Culp to get into that rotation more. And he's been one of my favorites since last training camp, and he continues to make strides. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to get an interview soon with him, because I'd love to pick his brain on what has transpired this start of this training camp of getting more opportunities with the ones, and what that has meant for him, and how that could honestly allow for him to see more playing time potentially as we go into week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons.
Bucky Irving, what kind of season do you think he's going to have this year?
Dude, I don't know, man. Like, I keep on seeing on Twitter, everybody's like, "Wow, we won all these carries, we won everything." And I think, yes, of course, he's going to get a lot more than last year. It's just going to come down to health for him. He's not the biggest guy, but that's the thing. He runs with physicality, but then also too, he can shake you out of your boots, which is one of the most exciting things to watch coming from running back, and definitely from that size and stature. It's just fun. Think of like Tez Johnson, who's the Oregon wide receiver rookie. Like both of them, they are on that same realm of where they could just dead leg you, eat you, and then your ankles are broken. That's something that Bucky Irving has the talent at. I think there's so much potential with this kid, and then it just depends too on how if this offensive line in the first couple of weeks is able to go. But Tristan Wirfs, interested to see how long it takes for him to return. But if the offensive line looks like it did last year and giving opportunities for Bucky to get into some space and cause some havoc at the second level, we've seen what he's been able to do. He's been able to take over games, and that was just as a rookie. The strides that he takes, and the way it's hard to tell in training camps because it is a running back position, and you're not going to go full force. Although we did see a little bit of that last night, but that was more of the 2s and the 3s. But still, I think there's a strong season ahead for this young man. I mean, that's anybody's going to say that. I'm one of probably everybody that's out there. You and I and the rest of even national media are expecting a big season from Bucky. So no shocking words from me whatsoever. But you would like to see him just stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. You stay healthy, you are a top 10 running back going into this upcoming season for in the NFL, and fantasy owners will certainly love that as well.
No doubt about it. And when you look at this team, I think overall, and you look at Emeka Egbuka, what he can bring to the table. I mean, more impressed with what he's been able to do on the field, or kind of his disposition off of it.
Dude, Emeka, man. I mean, the thing was, like, we saw this with Jalen McMillan a little bit, and that's where this conversation, I feel like training camp, we got to figure it out. I don't know if we're going to go in the second week of training camp or at the end of training camp, and just try to figure out what the difference is with McMillan and Emeka, because McMillan had a really good training camp last year too. OTAs, like he was in stride with Baker Mayfield. They clicked very early on, but there's just something about Egbuka where, when you think about it, the ball's up in the air, it's coming right to him, it's in stride, or it's not an easy grab, or it's an overthrow from Baker, which he's had throughout this camp. But like in the end zone, you're like, if that's 9, that's probably coming down with number 9 in his hands. That's just something that you love. He's tall. He's got lanky arms. He when he catches a ball, I don't know what it is. It just comes straight to his chest. It's hard for DBs to rip it out or cause PBUs. Like it just gets right in you, and he's turning. And he's not going to be a player though that is going to be like an absolute animal for you in the open field. He's just going to show you though that he is productive and he can make those third down conversions for you, just like a guy with Chris Godwin. Like that's something that, it all, why did they go after a first round? Why did they grab a wide receiver in the first round? Well, I think they're waiting a good bit here on Chris Godwin after some rehab implications, slowing that down. They made this move for Emeka to Baker to stay hot on air, also too, to help out Mike Evans as well. It's exciting to watch whenever you have such a strong talent at the wide receiver room. And Emeka Egbuka, not only just on the field but off the field. Jay, you and I are in there in their interviews and such. He presents himself very well. Sounds like a veteran, and
he does.
It's crazy. It's crazy, but Jason Light and the rest of that staff in the front office always do a good job of making sure they read the room, read what their personalities are before coming in and bringing them into Tampa and inside that locker room.
Before I let you go, of course, I got to ask you a question about the Noles. I was going to send you this picture. I liked Florida State when I was a kid growing up in New York because of Charlie Ward. Yeah, that was my guy. I mean, he was the Knicks point guard, and I loved Florida State. I wouldn't say I was a Florida State fan, but I just loved watching them. I was definitely cheering for them when they played Michael Vick at Virginia Tech, and I had a really cool picture of me, youngster, with an old school Florida State hat on. So I was trying to send it to all my Florida State fans. Sure. I had no service up in the mountains. No. What's kind of the big, thought process over the next couple of weeks? College football going to be here before you know. Somebody's just asked me, when's USF start? I'm like, oh my gosh, man, we're still in baseball season. But as much as we talk about the NFL going to be here soon, hell, the college football is going to be here even quicker. As we're getting closer and closer to week 1, like what's the thought process when it comes to these Noles? And, I think Norvell's a pretty good coach. I know a lot of people are like, there are always college football fans out there. If you're not a Noles fan, or maybe if you're a little bit more of a pessimistic Noles fan, you look at that 1 year and you're like, is that the exception to the rule? Is he really just kind of a mediocre coach for the rest of the tenure there? So what do you make of Norvell as we get closer and closer? And, what are some of the big storylines for the fans that aren't following Florida State as closely as they should?
You know what? I'll tell you. I mean, camp begins in exactly 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I love football. I mean, you love football. That's why we're here. Definitely during this time of year, you start smelling the grass. It's cut. It's great. Football season here. It's hot as a mother. Like, it's just hot. So, football season has arrived and fall camp begins. And this is a massive one for Mike Norvell. I mean, he made a whole lot of changes. Offensive coordinator Gus Malzahn coming from UCF. As we know, Mike Norvell and Gus Malzahn have ties in the coaching tree business, but also, too, if you go back, Florida State beat Gus Malzahn in that 2013 national championship when Florida State took them down in the Tigers in Pasadena. Great game, one of my favorite games I've ever attended. But now he's on Florida State staff, which is absolutely insane to think of. It's still weird. It's going to be very weird when we see him on Saturday of next month, exactly when they face off against the Crimson Tide and Alabama. And then on the defensive side, you brought in a new coordinator with Tony White coming from Nebraska. Seems to be a future head coach one day. But Mike Norvell had to make these changes. This is a pressing year for him if things don't go well. I think if you reach 6 wins, there's a conversation of you keep him or you move on from him. But if you're able to reach 7 or 8 wins, I think he keeps himself in a safe spot just because of the success that they've been able to find on the recruiting trail. But, I think the biggest storyline so far, Jay, Evan Thomas Castellanos, baby.
He's still talking. He's still talking.
He's still chirping, man. And he's still chirping. That's what usually little, I'm not going to call him a little guy, but smaller guys, smaller football players like to chirp. And we've seen that plenty of times at the college, NFL, high school, whatever it is.
Hell, Baker.
Yeah, exactly. Baker would attest to that as well. The thing is, though, one thing about Baker, that man can back that thing up
Yeah.
on the field. Can Thomas Castellanos now do that? And it's hilarious to see that, yes, you are going to face a top-tier talent in against Alabama. And, I think the team has rallied behind him, and he said that the team believes in what he's saying, and they needed a leader. DJ Uiagalelei was not a leader. He was a mute. He was hard to watch. He did not communicate. I didn't even feel like a quarterback was back there. I felt like a tight end because he weighed 255 pounds. He also dealt with an injury going into last season. You see, I'm a Steelers fan, and I love me some big quarterbacks like I had in Big Ben, but he was not even close to a Big Ben whatsoever. But now you got to hope there's some promise for the FSU Seminoles because of Thomas Castellanos and Mike Norvell and the success that they've been able to have with a running threat of a quarterback and Gus Malzahn. This is now his offense. He's taken over play calling duties. I think that's the biggest storyline going into this fall camp for the Florida State Seminoles. And they've done a good job, I think, better than they did last year in the transfer portal. They actually brought in guys with production, with actual numbers on the stat sheet instead of projects that you were going to put in the starting lineup, which was absolutely putrid and awful. They had the worst transfer class, and that was embarrassing for Mike Norvell after what he had successful-wise through there, being one of the top coaches in the country. So there's a lot of storylines going into this, but I think it's going to rely on what this offense looks like with Thomas Castellanos and the offensive line, which has been awful since I've been alive. There's a lot of stuff, but I'm looking forward to it, though. Should be an interesting fall camp, Jay.
You got that right, buddy. Logan's Twitty on Twitter. It's Logan Robinson, founder and owner of Noel Game Day, Bucks Game Day, UFC Knockout, Mavericks, and Commanders SI, and host of Hear the Spear. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you out there in the sweltering heat tomorrow for Buccaneers training camp. Appreciate you, man.
Bring it on, brother, and hydrate. I'll see you in the morning.
You got that right. Thanks, pal. Hydrate is right, man. Water, vitamin water, Gatorade, man. You should see. Nobody's messing around. Nobody is messing around. They know it is no joke out there at Buccaneers training camp. All right, before we go, I want to talk a little Tampa Bay Rowdies. It was so good to be out there today on the program, like on the pitch there after training. Got a chance to speak to head coach Dominic Casciato, also to speak to Ollie Bassett. We'll start with Ollie first. And guess what? Ollie was actually at Bucs training camp last night with the other players on the team. So let's hear what he had to say. Let me bring this up real quick. Share the screen. Midfielder, Ollie Bassett. We had him on a couple of months ago. He talks about adjusting to life in Tampa Bay, playing for his third coach this season, what it was like to attend Bucs training camp last night. Let's hear from Ollie.
All right, Ollie, we'll start with last night at Bucs training camp, man. How was that? I know you and Woobs are out there. How was that being able to take in some of that American football?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I've never watched a game before. And yeah, I heard they were training, getting ready for their season. So me and Woobs just thought it'd be cool to go and see what they get up to and what the difference is from soccer to NFL. So yeah, it was a cool experience, and hopefully when season starts, we can go and catch a game.
Definitely got to get you guys out there, no doubt. All right, adjustments for you, man. Over the last couple of months, we spoke, the beginning of the season, and now, how's the adjustments been for not just playing on the team, obviously with 3 different coaches, but just being here in the Tampa Bay area?
Yeah, it's been still good, I mean, I think I've said before many times, ever since I arrived here, I've enjoyed being here. This is where I wanted to come in the off season. So yeah, I'm just making the most of it. Trying to do my best every day, and yeah, it's been good. I've really enjoyed living here and working with the coaches and the players. And yeah, I mean, we've obviously gone through some coaching changes, but I think it's all been pretty positive.
Coach Casciato comes in. What's the biggest adjustment that he's made to you guys as a group?
Yeah, I think we want to be more on the front foot, more intense, more pressing high, and either winning the ball back in the final third or forcing the team. We're playing against into mistakes, and then when we get the ball, we want to keep it and try and play. Get the ball wide, get crosses in the box, try and create as many chances as possible, and ultimately pick up points and make playoffs.
What was the big kind of message within the group when you guys were struggling there about a month and a half ago, when it was just it was tough to find results, but it seemed like you guys did a really good job of kind of staying together, and it looks like you guys are just turning this thing around and getting ready for a really strong back half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, even when we were struggling in the league, we never we never stopped believing in the quality that we had in the group. And, we knew that it was an extremely long season, starting in March and ending in October, November. So, yeah, we knew it was not going to be always straightforward. We were going to have to deal with adversity at some point. And, I think it's just about how you react to that. And, I think the boys have reacted, tremendously well. And, I think the results and the performances are starting to show.
All right, and lastly, what's your kind of go-to, either food or drink spot, or here locally now that you have some roots here?
My go-to food spot, I'd say Ají Limo.
Yeah.
It's a Peruvian restaurant, close to our apartment.
Nice.
It's actually incredible, it's so good. And then for a drink in the evening or on the weekend, I don't know, maybe Emberd, a rooftop.
Yeah.
Good vibe, just weather's good. And, yeah, that's probably what I'd say. Hello.
I love that guy, Ollie. Just getting so much better and better. Ollie Bassett there, the midfielder for our Tampa Bay Rowdies. It's been a tough putt so far this season. They're trying to get better and better. And, they're just a couple of points out of a playoff spot there in the Eastern Conference. So many road games. We haven't seen them at home in a while. They'll be back in a couple of weeks over there at Al Lang. Make sure you go to rowdysoccer.com to get your tickets today. And they're going to be celebrating, obviously, the big 50 years and just all of the great things that have happened over the just the entire tenure of our Tampa Bay Rowdies. Love being able to be out there. Coach Dominic Casciato, third manager this season for our Tampa Bay Rowdies. And this is a guy that has come in, and I got a chance to talk to him after our little interview here about a couple of different things. Because, listen, this team needs to improve. This is a team that's usually one of the better teams in the USL. But hear what he had to say earlier today when I was discussing his adjustments to Tampa Bay and, the intensity of some of his practices. Because, my goodness, they were firing today. They look good. Here's what Coach Casciato had to say.
Coach, good to see the boys out there. I mean, it seems like a lot of intensity with the training today. How important is that for you guys as you prepare for the rest of the season?
Yeah, look, you have to play with intensity on a weekend, right? So if you don't play with intensity or train with intensity during the week, it's tough to just flick it on Saturday. So guys have been working really hard and doing their best. So, really pleased with the effort so far.
What's the biggest thing? Obviously, you have plans going into, the team, but then after being with them now, what do you notice as the big thing that needs to change as you're trying to get more results down the stretch?
Oh, look, I think it's just a little bit more belief, right? We have good players here. I think now we have a clear system. We know what we need to do to get points on the board, and it's just about believing in each other and sticking together in those tough moments. And, we've gone to places like Charleston and San Antonio, two of the top teams in the league, and gone toe-to-toe with them, right? And probably should have got something out of both games, and now it's just about a little bit more belief to make sure that we are taking our chances. We're a little bit tighter at the back, and we come away with something from those games.
I know some coaches sometimes they struggle with silver linings and moral victories because you could look at that as the only goal should be to win. But sure. I think when you're a team learning, right, the new style, a new way to play, you can take moral victories and silver linings, right? Because if you don't get the result, you got to learn about the team, right? And they have to learn from you as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big part of our message. Is every day we're together, we're just trying to get a little bit better, whether it's training, whether it's the game. So if we can learn from that experience on Saturday, that'll make us better going into this Saturday, right? If we learn from today's training session, we're a little bit better after today. We're going to be better going into Saturday, and that's kind of how we approach every single day.
Do you look at the table at all, knowing where you guys are at and know that you need results down the stretch? Is that just human nature, or do you just try to ignore it? How do you approach that?
No, I think you need to know what you need, right? If you don't know what you need, then how do you go and get it? So I think we're very aware of what we need to do from these last 14 games, and we're very focused on doing it.
Is there anything that surprised you from this club so far, or did you kind of know what you were getting into kind of as you got in?
No, I think I knew what I was getting into. I think great people here,
Yeah.
I think the size of the club, the support from the fan base has been incredible. So that stuff has been amazing. So no, it's everything I expected it to be, and now it's about getting us moving in the right direction on the table.
Is there any advantage or disadvantage to having so many games on the road, kind of smack dab in the middle before you come back home? Do you go on the road? Because you hear in professional sports, sometimes you go on the road, you can build bonds on the road trips, going out to eat. Do you see some of that with this group before you get back to Al Lang for a steady stretch of fixtures?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely a lot you can take from those games. I think it's an opportunity to bring the group together. You spend a little bit more time together on the road. It's an opportunity to test what we're talking about, right? We're talking about getting a little bit better every day and making sure that when we go away from home, we're picking points up. So now it's another opportunity for us to see if we are getting better, if we are learning from these experiences.
How about yourself, man? How are you adjusting to the Tampa Bay area?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I've spent a lot of time here at the training ground, obviously, and just obviously working a lot. But no, the area's been great. But it's about the team first and making sure that the team is moving in the right direction. So that's what we're working towards.
Great stuff from head coach Dominic Casciato. I think he is the right guy at the helm for our Tampa Bay Rowdies. And just, again, even after just chatting there, we were talking a little bit after and just about the makeup of the club and just the way he prepares and the way he's looking as far as the future goes with this team. Right guy, and he understands. And I like teams that practice hard. You practice hard, the game should be the easy part. So I really, really like what Dominic Casciato is all about. Again, for all the information about our Tampa Bay Rowdies, rowdysoccer.com. All right, it's going to wrap it up for me. I got to get ready because we got the Beckles and Recher podcast coming in at about 3 o'clock today. Tomorrow, live, noon, TJ Reeves is going to join us at 12:30, the sideline reporter for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course. Back out at training camp. I'll be out there, so we'll start the show with some good stuff there. And the MLB trade deadline is mañana, so the news is going to be fast and furious. Don't be surprised if Christopher Morrell gets traded. Maybe it's like the Astros or Rangers or somebody out west. I gave you my predictions. Maybe Taj to the Cardinals. A guy like P. Fairbanks maybe to the Blue Jays. Littell to the Tigers. Those are some of my predictions. We'll see if they come true. Again, as always, follow my guys. Go check out my guys, rather. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Licensed, insured, bonded, general contractors, residential, commercial. If you have a question because you want to do a remodel, just give Russ a call. 813-244-0956. You see it right there. There's the QR code. Scan it. Check out their website, thehonesthammer.com. It is awesome. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Every like, kill that like button. Every subscription certainly helps. Tell your mother, tell your father, tell your dentist, tell your mailman. Let everybody know. Follow us right here on the Jay Recher podcast. That'll do it for me. Again, Beckles and Recher podcast at 3 o'clock right here on this channel. So don't go anywhere. Tell all your friends. There's going to be a lot of great discussion, including the discussion about Desmond Watson that we got into on Monday. It's going to get heated at 3 o'clock. So you don't want to miss that. All right. That'll do it for me. I love you all. See you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher podcast. I am gone. Peace out.